So when somebody wants to list their house, they always have questions like what is acceptable as far as, what their house should look like as cleanliness wise, and if they should try to declutter. What are your
Yeah.
recommendations?
Recommendations. Less is more, people. Less is more. I always try to say, you got to take yourself out of living at the home, which I totally understand is very hard, but try to put yourself in the buyer's shoe and try to remember like what it's like to be the buyer. So obviously less is more. Cleanliness is huge. People work off their senses. So if somebody walks in and there's something throwing them off or a weird smell, I know it's so silly. And in a hot seller's market, it's not as top of the list, but still very important. You want to put your best foot forward, especially too with the pictures. Like people are going to see that in pictures, and that's what gets people to your house. Like having good pictures without a lot of distraction so people can see the property is huge.
For sure. So with that, obviously I know you and we work with the same people. Professional photography is definitely a recommended thing.
Yes, always. In my mind, always.
Yeah. People like you're a homeowner, you always have like an unfinished project. Depending on what it is, of course, like how important is it to get those projects done before they list the house?
Right.
Like
Again,
painting or trim work or stuff like that.
Again, in the hot sellers market, it's hard to tell people like this is very important when there's so much traction to begin with. But I do feel like it's important to put those pieces together. With paint, I think paint can change a room altogether. So again, going back to the feeling and the vibes of it, I think the more modern you have things, the better, just because it's going to attract the most attention. Always going back to people see those pictures, and if it gives them a cool, like, I can move in and not have to do a thing, you're going to get more traction.
Paint's another good way to help with the senses as far as like the smell or something like that. Right. If you're going into a house like, oh, it's freshly painted, it's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah, like, do you have little kids? Are there fingerprints on the walls? Again, not that it's like make or break. You can't list your house unless you do it, but
right.
It's a good suggestion for people to like take themselves out, look at it as a buyer, and okay, I would like to come into a house that's freshly painted and cleaned and feels good. Like you want to give people that good feeling when they walk in that house.